One in-town Atlanta neighborhood starts in the low 300s. Another runs past $1.5 million. Today, I'm ranking 6 in-town areas from worst to best, so you know exactly where your budget fits and what you're giving up. The number 1 spot surprises almost everyone, and after 28 years selling in-town Atlanta, it's the easiest recommendation I make. Number 6. Atlantic Station. So you walk out your front door and there's a retail storefront. You go the other direction and there's a restaurant patio full of people on the weekend. Everything's clean, everything's close, and you really don't need a car. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like a neighborhood. And I think that distinction is everything when you're looking at Atlantic Station. This whole area was built from the ground up on the old Atlantic Steel Mill site. It's a planned, mixed-use development where everything is very organized. You've got retail, dining, office, and residential all in one place. And it does exactly what it was designed to do. But it's not trying to be a traditional neighborhood, and it doesn't feel like one. So when you live here, you're basically living inside a shopping district. There's always foot traffic, the energy leans commercial, and the layout is built around storefronts instead of residential streets. And if green space is important to you, you need to know it's all shared. There's really no private yard space here. It's public, it's communal, and I would say it's more of an urban setting than anything else. The housing matches that. Pretty much everything is attached. Condos, townhomes, that's it. There really are no single family homes in Atlantic Station. So if you're looking for privacy or outdoor space that's your own, this one probably isn't going to work. Now, this place is for someone who really doesn't want a car and wants everything right outside their door. You're walking distance to Georgia Tech, so it works well for professors, grad students, and anyone who wants to be close to the west side without overthinking it. Atlantic Station has a median price sitting in the low 500s as of February 2026. You're in a central location. The convenience is very real, and for the right person, that's enough. But stay with me, because when we get to Kirkwood in a few minutes, you're going to see a very different version of what accessible and easy can look like. Now, Atlantic Station sits at the bottom of this list because it's a very specific fit. If it matches how you want to live, it works really well. If it doesn't, you feel that pretty quickly. Okay. If you're watching this and you're actually planning a move to Atlanta, trying to figure out which of these in-town areas fits your budget and your day-to-day life, that's exactly what I help with. I've spent 28 years working in these neighborhoods, and I can give you a very clear picture of where you fit and what's available right now. My contact info is in the description below. And next, we're going over to the west side. And this one tends to surprise people. Number 5, West Side. Now, there's a difference between West Midtown and the West Side, and that difference actually matters more than you'd expect. And we often see people getting it wrong all the time, even before they start looking over here. The West Side is where a lot of Atlanta's best restaurants are right now. It's also where most of the new in-town construction is happening. And the overall feel is very modern, very social. It tends to attract buyers who want something turnkey with strong amenities right outside their door. You've got breweries, Top Golf, and the Atlanta Pickleball Club. There's a real scene here, and it's very active. And then you've got West Side Reservoir Park. This used to be the Bellwood Quarry. If you've seen shows like The Walking Dead or Stranger Things, some of those early scenes were filmed there. They closed it off, turned it into a large park, and now the Beltline Trail connects to West Side Park. As a daily amenity, I would say it's a major draw. And when we get to Inman Park at the end, you're going to see what Beltline access looks like at a much more established level, and it puts this into perspective. But more on that later. Now here's the trade-off you need to understand. The West Side kind of sits on its own, and getting across town in Atlanta can be difficult, and moving between the East Side and the West Side isn't easy. In the middle of the day, that drive can push close to 45 minutes. And in terms of housing, while there are some single-family homes, most of what you'll find are newer townhomes. This isn't where you go looking for historic craftsman homes. It's modern, it's move-in ready, and the pricing reflects that. And they usually sit at the mid-300s, which which is way less than other places on the list. So if you're working in Midtown, you want a shorter commute, you like having restaurants and activities close by, and you prefer something low maintenance, the West Side can work really well. But if you need to get to the East Side regularly, or you're looking for a more established neighborhood feel, that separation can start to feel like a limitation over time. And the next area we're going into is right in the center of the East Side, and the energy is completely different. Number 4, Old Fourth Ward. Old Fourth Ward sits right in the middle of the East Side, and where it ranks really comes down to access. You've got direct Beltline access, you've got Ponce City Market right there, and everything that comes with those two anchors, which means that on a Saturday morning, you step onto the Beltline, and within 10 minutes, you're surrounded by patios, coffee shops, and just a ton of people out enjoying the day. But this is pretty normal for every single day of the week. Ponce City Market is one of the most significant developments in the city. It's about 2.1 million square feet. It used to be a Sears distribution center, and now it's this full community hub. You've got a food hall, residences, office space, co-working, retail, and even an amusement park on the roof. It overlooks Ponce de Leon Avenue, the Beltline, and historic Fourth Ward Park, and it really functions as a central gathering point throughout the week. And then the Beltline access here is direct. You're on it. That 22-mile loop changes how you move through the city. You can walk, bike, or scooter to a lot of the best restaurants and bars without needing a car. So why does Old Fourth Ward land in the 4th spot? The changes this neighborhood has gone through over the past 20 years are significant, and that context matters. The crowds around the Beltline on the weekends can be heavy, and homes close to Ponce City Market are very competitive. You're looking anywhere from the mid-400s to well over $1 million, depending on what you're buying. The pricing lines up with the level of access you're getting, but if access and energy are what matter to you most, this area consistently delivers. So let's keep moving up, because the next neighborhood is one I think a lot of people underestimate when they first look at in-town Atlanta. Number 3, Kirkwood. I know that a lot of people moving to Atlanta have never even heard of Kirkwood, and honestly, that's a big reason it ends up on this list. This neighborhood started along one of Atlanta's old trolley lines back in the late 1800s. It sat about 4 to 6 miles out from the center of the city at the time. And today, it's really the last true in-town neighborhood before you get into Decatur. Because it's older and because it covers a lot of ground, it's developed something you don't see often in town, which is range. And what I mean by that is size. Kirkwood is big, and because of that, it has one of the largest neighborhood downtown areas you'll find. There's a real Main Street feel here. You've got a butcher shop, multiple restaurants, a police station, and a strong sense of community. It's called Kirkwood Village, and it actually feels like a village. It's not something that was built recently to look that way. Now, for buyers, this is the part that really matters. Kirkwood gives you options at a lot of different price points. You can find condos in the high 200s, townhomes are usually in the high 400s to low 500s, and then single-family homes, many from the early 1900s and updated over time, have a median of mid 700,000 and can go well over $1 million. That kind of spread in an in-town neighborhood is not very common. The community here is strong. There are neighborhood events, the Spring Fling Festival in May, and people are very involved in where they live. Now, the trade-off is the size. Because Kirkwood is so spread out, if you're on one side of the neighborhood, you may not feel connected to Kirkwood Village on the day-to-day. You're going to need a car to get around, and your main highway access is I-20. If you need I-75 or I-85, you're going through I-20 first, and that can add time. But if you've been hearing that in-town is out of reach, Kirkwood is usually where that conversation shifts. Number 2, Grant Park. Now, there's a moment when you're walking through Grant Park, the neighborhood, and you start to notice these homes have been there since the late 1800s, and they look it in the best of ways. They're not worn down, but very intentionally maintained. And in a city like Atlanta, where things get torn down and rebuilt all the time, that kind of preservation is rare. Grant Park is one of the oldest intact residential neighborhoods in the city. The Victorian homes here are some of the best examples you're going to find. The streets are quiet and the tree canopy is real, shaping how every block feels. And you can tell right away that these homes have been taken care of. The neighborhood is centered around Grant Park itself, which is one of the better parks in Atlanta. That's where Zoo Atlanta is. So if you've got kids, that's a meaningful amenity. And then you've got Oakland Cemetery on the north side, which is the most historic cemetery in the city. Margaret Mitchell is buried there, several Atlanta mayors are there, and yes, Kenny Rogers is there too. They do guided tours, and it's actually a really lovely way to spend an afternoon. Community involvement here is strong. You've got the Summer Shade Festival in August, a candlelit tour of homes during the holidays, and a neighborhood association that's very active. And then, from a location standpoint, you're about 10 minutes to downtown and roughly 15 minutes to the airport. That airport access is something a lot of in-town neighborhoods don't have. And if you travel often, it becomes a bigger factor than people expect. And then, the other thing to pay attention to is the Beltline. Grant Park sits right next to the South Side Trail, which is still developing. If you've seen what Beltline access has done for places like Old Fourth Ward and Inman Park, that same pattern is something to watch here over time. Pricing in Grant Park usually falls somewhere in the high 500s up into the low 600s, with fully restored homes pushing higher. It's a stable market, it's driven by character, and a lot of buyers connect with it the first time they walk through. And if you think Grant Park stands out, the next neighborhood takes a lot of these same qualities and adds another layer of access and architectural depth. Number 1, Inman Park. And finally, we got to my number 1 spot, Inman Park with its tree-lined streets. This is the first time you kind of understand why it lands at the top of this list. The neighborhood was actually designed to feel this way, and I think in Atlanta, that's very rare. Inman Park was developed in the late 1880s as Atlanta's first planned residential suburb. And because it was planned, not just built over time, it has features other neighborhoods had to add later. You've got curved streets that naturally slow traffic, large lots, a tree canopy that feels intentional, and a very clear sense of how the neighborhood is supposed to function. The homes, Victorian, Queen Anne, and Craftsman, are mostly restored really well, and the neighborhood association is very consistent about preserving that character. Now, I want to be clear on pricing so you know what to expect. Homes here usually fall somewhere from the mid-800s to well over $1.5 million. Demand is strong, supply is limited, and the Beltline running right through the neighborhood has only increased that competition. But when you look at what you're getting, it starts to come together. You have direct Beltline access, meaning you can leave your house and reach a lot of the East Side's best restaurants and spots without getting in a car. You're close to Little Five Points, which brings a very distinct, eclectic feel to the area. You've also got MARTA access, so you can walk to the station and head to a game or the airport without driving. And then there's the Inman Park Festival at the end of April. It's one of the largest neighborhood festivals in Atlanta. 3 days, volunteer run, with a historic home tour that's been happening for years. It tells you a lot about how invested people are in this neighborhood. I've been selling in town Atlanta for 28 years, over 500 homes, and I've seen a lot of neighborhoods shift over time. Inman Park has stayed at the top of my list the entire time. You've got the history, the trees, the walkability, the architecture, the community, and the Beltline all in one place. The only real trade-off here is the price. And for buyers who are comfortable at that level, this is one of the easiest neighborhoods in the city for me to recommend. The ranking matters a lot less than the fit. Every neighborhood on this list is the right answer for someone and the wrong one for someone else. So if you're at the point where you want to get serious about which of these in-town areas actually lines up with your budget and your timing, you can email me directly at hello@vcgrealty.com. I'll walk you through what's available right now and which specific blocks are worth paying attention to. And then the video I linked here goes through 7 underrated Midtown neighborhoods. You'll see how access to Piedmont Park can range from the low 700s to well over $2 million, depending on exactly where you are. That difference is where a lot of buyers miss value.